So hey everybody on Facebook, Jason Colthorpe from Local 4. We're live on Facebook and we just want to give you an update on what we're working on today because mainly we want you to be a part of it. I'm assuming everybody has seen the news from yesterday following the Larry Nassar sentencing. The fallout and the focus kind of shifted to Michigan State University and the questions about who knew what, when did they know it, and what's next? What's going to happen for Michigan State University? And obviously the shoes started to fall last night when the student faculty athletic advisor resigned, Sue Carter, and that kind of got people talking about, she cited reasons that she couldn't agree with the administration, how they were acting, what they were doing. And of course that followed, you could sense that followed the comments by Trustee Joel Ferguson and what he said. And then he tried to walk those back through a spokesperson. But that was quickly followed by the resignation of President Luana Simon, who's been the president of Michigan State since 2003. Extremely significant, number one, because arguably one of the best presidents Michigan State's ever had. Really advanced the university, stepped them into the next millennium, really, with everything that they're doing that's successful. And by all accounts, she's been fantastic right up until a couple of weeks ago, maybe even before that, when publicly Michigan State really was being perceived as being tone deaf in light of this tragedy regarding Larry Nassar and what all of these young women have gone through as we heard those victim statements. So here's what we're doing today. We're headed to Michigan State right now, and we're going to be there on campus. We're going to talk to some people close to this situation. We're going to talk to students. What are you feeling about your university? And this all includes you. This is why we're doing a lot of this on Facebook Live today and on clickondetroit.com. We want you to get involved. So I'm looking at your comments. Mark, no, I'm not driving right now. I'd be very talented if I was. That would be my ace photographer, Alex Atwell, who I'm not even going to distract him by showing it because he's got 10 and 2 right now. And now it's 10 and 2. So we're going to campus. We're going to talk to people. We're going to talk to students, people that, care about this university. And full disclosure, I'm a Michigan State grad, and the university is near and dear to my heart. And it's difficult to watch what has happened. I'm reading comments. I think that's a good point by, I don't know who said that there, Rachel Newman, about Kathy Klages and John Geddard. Kathy Klages is the former gymnastics coach who some investigations has shown that victims went to her on more than one occasion to alert her. This is a very big discussion we can have of where the blame falls. Certainly Michigan State has a lot of blame. People were told about this. People didn't act on what they were told. And this all kind of led up to the president. And you can argue that the president, Luana Simon, didn't know. I guess now former president, she has submitted a letter that you saw on Channel 4 last night at 11. You can argue she didn't know about any of this until she fired Larry Nassar. But you can also argue the buck stops with the president. The president has to know what's going on in each department at her university. And when hundreds of young athletes and women are being sexually abused, that's something that cannot be overlooked and needs to be addressed, and there needs to be a change in what happens there. So you can certainly see that. So in addition to that, we're going to find out what the mood on campus is like. We're going to address what's next, meaning what happens now with Joel Ferguson. He's the trustee who's made some very incendiary comments. What can other victims who are out there who haven't been heard do? What's next with this NCAA investigation? What about the athletic department, considering a national columnist last night called for Mark Hollis to step down as all of this? Remember, this involved the gymnastics team in the athletic department, not just the College of Osteopathic Medicine. So the whole situation has pivoted to look at what Michigan State's going through. And like I was getting to, I'm reading your comments because we want you to be a part of this. There is still a lot of good in MSU. Don't let a horrible thing like Larry Nassar and ones that failed hurt the many good things MSU has. That's from Tammy Kane. Tammy, I think that's important. Like I said, as a grad, I want to see Michigan State rise from this. Is this the same as Penn State? A lot of people think it's worse. Some people think it may be worse on some levels, certainly in the number of victims, but it's different in the sense that Penn State was, at least at this point, it was proven that administration covered things up and lied. Michigan State, that has not been proven yet. That could all change. The Attorney General investigating. Who is MSU's PR company? Even Simon, I missed it, that went by. I don't think they have a solid PR thing going. I know Joel Ferguson has used a PR spokesperson to try and walk back his comments from the other day. But it will come out. Yes, it will. Sarita Owen. Karan Cowden Sullivan says, yet. This is worse, some are saying now on here as we look at some of the comments. You know and I know this was a cover-up, says Eng Tran. Don't know that yet. Jenny Hall, they all should be held accountable. I think a lot of people agree. Anyone who knew anything and didn't act should be accountable. At this point, investigations, at least some done by journalists and ESPN and at least the law enforcement show, it at least went as high as a Dean Strangle, I believe. And that kind of fell apart when he put restrictions in place on Larry Nassar, but then didn't follow up to see if the conditions were being followed. So that was definitely a place where things fell apart. And that's pretty high up, a dean of the university not taking it higher, and it's not yet known if he did take it higher, and then people look the other way. What happens if they find out they covered it up? Well, you're probably going to see charges against other people. You could see criminal charges. That's what we saw at Penn State. You could very well see it at Michigan State. Sarita Owen says they filed complaints. Terrence Jackson, parents. Karen Washington, good, all accountable. Don Essenmachers, no, I'm not driving. Lindsay Stike, hands here, hands here. Luana Simon should lose her golden parachute, writes Marianne. Don't even know if she's getting one of those yet. So what if somewhere in America another privilege cover-up? It's very sad what happened, but parents should be... I see a lot of people writing parents. I don't know if... I'm a parent. I have 2 daughters. And before I came to Local 4, I worked in Lansing and lived just outside of Lansing. And both of my daughters went to Twistars and did gymnastics. Twistars is where John Geddert, that's his show. He runs that. He does it at the entry level where my daughters were, and he's not involved. He's not hands-on. But once you reach a certain level, that's when they kind of ratchet it up. You pay a lot more, the training gets more intense, and that's when you get involved with people like John Geddert and eventually Larry Nassar. My daughters did it for a few years, but when it got to that point where, hey, are you going to take this next step and be ultra competitive, they lost interest. And I got to tell you, every day I thank God they did, that we didn't pursue that. So my point being, when you keep writing parents, I think parents can want the best for their kids, want them to shine and do what's great. And when a lot of times the people that knew nothing about the complaints about Dr. Nassar, they were being told this is a guy who by all accounts is great at what he does. He would never do that. I know another doctor who knows him personally, and when this all broke, refused to believe this. There were only a few accusations, said, not this guy. Would never do that. I talked to him, talked to him about medical procedures, seen what he can do for athletes, and it was probably about when, I think it was 10 or 12 women came forward, it dawned on him, oh my God, this is for real. He really did this. And I think when you put out there you want to blame parents, it's easy for him to con them the way he conned everyone. Because he had that guise of being a brilliant doctor and no one questions doctors. If you look at people you know people who don't question doctors. No, he's a doctor. He knows what he's doing. Don't question him. And it wasn't until, I think one of the victims said it best, if just one parent or one person, I should say, maybe a trainer or a coach that had been told by more than one person what was going on, stood up and had the guts to say, this might not be right. This might have ended much sooner. So I guess it can be easy to blame parents, but remember, one parent went down this road and ended up feeling so much guilt that he took his own life. So I don't want to go there when it comes to blaming parents. I think there's blame in this, but right now we're focusing on, we'll see what the investigations turn up. But someone just asked, is John Geddert being indicted? And I think the best answer right now is no, not yet. And that could happen depending on what they find happened at Twistars, because it seems proper procedures there weren't followed as well, judging by the investigations we've seen. So I don't want to run wild on this. We're going to be live all day at Michigan State. We're getting to that. We're on our way up there right now, so we're going to be on campus. We are going to, at least a couple of the interviews we do, we're going to try and do it live, let you watch it as we do it, and if possible, chime in with your questions. And if we see them, we've got some extra hands, people that might be able to say, hey, Joe in Allen Park wants to ask, why didn't this happen? Maybe we can ask the people that we're talking to, as long as more people don't cut us off on the road here on 96. That was a little close. So we're going to be doing that all day, and we want you to be involved. So stay tuned both on clickondetroit.com and on Facebook as we follow this crisis on campus at Michigan State today. It's going to be a long road. This is just day number 1 following the Nassar verdict. So long for now. We'll talk to you a little later here on Local 4.